This is ETETA TV in collaboration with the Pixel International. I am Mr. Edward Lulengo from Csee Secondary School. Welcome to the solving question, Necta examination questions, Form 4. And today we are going to have a look on the reading literary work. Especially we shall look on the novel. So today we are going to look one question on which appeared on Necta examination in 2019, and this was question number 11. So this question was said in this topic of reading literary works. I have, as I have said, it's a novel, and the question stated is that using characters from two novels you have studied under this section, analyze the bad traits which should not be adopted in Tanzanian context, providing 3 points from each novel. So a student now was required to attempt this kind of a question by taking two novels which he or she has undertaken in this course, especially on the novel part. So this question requires a student to understand the keywords which has been used in this question. For instance, in our question here, we are having some of the keyword which have been used under our question, like character, analyze, and the bad trait. So to analyze, we have used the term analyze because we assume that, or we know, Form 4 students, they are now in a higher order learning now. They have to analyze the thing, to differentiate the thing. So also the student are required to read several times questions so as to understand the question needs. What is the question needs? So as a student, you are required to read the question several times so as you can get the meaning and you get the needs of the question. The student also is required to define the key terms which has been used under this question. We have seen before the keyword which is character, or you can define bad trait. What is bad trait? Bad trait, it is a technical word trait, but it can be also used as characters. Those characters which are not acceptable in our society. So we have to analyze those kind of characteristics which has been shown on the novels, and we now don't want it to be adopted, be practiced in our society, Tanzanian context. Also, the candidates should consider the following while answering this question. One of the most important things to consider while answering question, especially this essay question, because under this part, student is required to write essay questions or essay forms. So you define the key terms under the introduction part. That is the first thing. The key words which have been appeared on your question. For instance, in our question here, we have seen already that we have to define character. We have to define maybe bad traits. And also under the introductory part, a student should now select the two novels to use under this question. And the next thing is the part of main body. Before the main body, a student, while finishes to write the introductory part, you must use the connecting words which connect your idea from the introduction part and the main body. So here under the main body, you outline or you give the point and citing examples, giving examples from the novels you have selected. Examples give you give you marks that it supports the point that you have wrote, it supports the ideas that you have given in your essay. And the last thing, or the final thing in your essay, you must have, or you must be provided with your conclusion. Under the conclusion now, here it is the time now you give your remarks. Remember, we are talking on the bad traits. We shall see them later. What are they, and how they appeared in the novel, and as the Tanzanians, do you think what now should be done so as we cannot be like those people who did this thing in those novels? So in the introductory part now, here candidate are required to define the keyword, as you have said already, character, bad trait, and write a connecting phrase, a sentence that will connect that part of your introduction and the main body. Under the main body now, this is a place, or this is where you give out your what, your point, the bad traits that we have already said in the introductory part. So you have, for instance, for my case, I have selected 2 novels, and one of the novels which I actually analyze the bad trait which appeared on this novel, Unanswered Cries, which is written by Osman Conte. But you must also know the writer or the author of this book, that this Unanswered Cries was written by Osman Conte, and the setting of this book, the environment where this novel was written, it is in Sierra Leone, other part of Africa. So you can see under this novel there are things which has been done which the contemporary society, the current society, it is still practicing them. So as now a modern society, as a growing society, we must stop them because they are said to be bad. One of the thing, or one of the bad traits which has been said by the writer of this book, it is female genital mutilation. So this female genital mutilation, this is a practice of cutting a certain part in a female reproductive system. So this is said to be bad to young generation because it affected them maybe during birth, when they give in birth, and in other activity, because it is said to be a most sensitive part in the reproduction system. So if a girl or a female is being removed with that certain part, it can brought, or it can have harm to him. So we are told to give examples from the characters, and here are the characters who practice this trait or this habit. For instance, we have the Bondo women who were the engineer. There was a group of people who were to cage, to meet with the society and they get those young children, young girls, and they send them to the Bondo camp where it was located in the certain forest. Macrae was said to be a primary teacher and still was circumcised. Olabisi, who was a girl now, he ran away because he is an educated one. He don't want to be circumcised because he is already aware with this activity of female genital circumcision, and she knows the effect of it. Another thing which is a bad trait, said to be a bad trait under this section, it is superstition. Superstition beliefs are said to be bad in our growing society, in our contemporary society, because it creates hostilities or conflict among ourselves. So as a developing society now, as a new generation, a educated one, we should not adopt them. We should abandon, we must abandon them so as we can live a peaceful life and a happy life. So example of the characters who practice this, it is a Yapos. Yapos was respected as a great witch in her society. So all the society feared them because of his witch. She possessed the witch, which they believed that she can harm anyone. Another bad trait which has been practiced under this book, it is the love affair. And the love affair, we shall meet with Maclay, who was the mother of Olabisi. Maclay was said to be a teacher, and before he became a teacher, in the college, he met with Ade Jones, who is said to be a father of Olabisi. They were having love affair while they are studying, so they finally ended up by getting Olabisi while they were in the college. Also, Olabisi was a secondary girl. Unfortunately, Olabisi fell in love with Ed, a boy from her class. So this case went further when Olabisi was required to be circumcised by the bond women. And when they got to the court, Ed gave witness that they have love affair with Olabisi. Now, as a growing society, as a student, we must not engage into love affair while we are in underage. We must wait, we finish up our study, and thereafter we shall get the love of our choices. So, bad trait also has been exercised or has been seen in the book of Pass Like a Shadow. Book of Pass Like a Shadow, this is written by somebody called Bernard Mapalala. And the setting of this book, it is in Uganda, a country which is found in East Africa here. So we can see also the bad trait which have been practiced under this novel, which we assume also should not be adopted by the Tanzanian context, which is a student, which is a society of Tanzania, because they are said to be bad. They are bad. One of the traits which is it should not be adopted by the Tanzanian context, it is drunkenness. Drunkenness was this is a situation whereby people take too much alcohol. So under our novel here, we have seen different characters who practice this activity. For instance, Adiel, who was now, according to the writer, is saying, Adiel was a secondary school teacher and he was a headmaster. So he ended after he was expelled from the school. Adiel fallen into drunkenness. He was taking too much alcohol. Also, Atwoki and David. Atwoki was the son of Adiel. He was a famous footballer, and thereafter, that famous led him to come across with David, who was his close friend. And David was a young person from a rich family that he connected Atwoki with the most famous people in the town. So after Atwoki got famous to his village, he went now to the town. As we know, most of the people now, after become famous, they abandon their society. And then after they go to the town centers, they engage with the pleasure life. So Atwoki meet with David, who later introduces him to the new friend, and thereafter he ended into bad thing. The second thing, it is the prostitution and the womanizer. Here there are two words, prostitution and the womanizer. So we must know one each other. So we start with the prostitute. Who is the prostitute? Prostitute, by the way, these are female who may be engaging into business of love affairs. So in the novel here, we have seen Tusime, Kunihila, and Vic. This engaged in the sexual affairs, and they were paid money by the people who needed them. So this is not good to the growing societies. Our children, our students, and our society at large, we want them to have a good manner. We don't want to be like Tusime and Kunihila. Tusime and Kunihila, were the students who were studying at a certain school in Uganda. They were expelled from the school because of this trait, this bad trait, this bad character. They were not good students to others. So as the school management board agreed to expel them from the school because they were not having a good manner. Also, womanizer, this year are mainly people who engage themselves in sexual affairs. So at our novel here, we have seen Adieli, who was the husband of Obot and still who was engaging in love affairs with Bilungi. Bilungi was decided to be a secretary to his office. So Bilungi was a secretary and still Adieli was having sexual affair with Adieli. Atok, who was the son of Adieli, of course, was a famous, as I've said before, he was a footballer, a great footballer in Uganda. That famous lead him to be a womanizer. And he was introduced by David to the ladies who are selling their body at the town center there in Uganda. So this all of them, and the name of the book, Pass Like a Shadow. They all pass by like a shadow because they all ended up by getting HIV/AIDS. And as we know, HIV/AIDS does not have a cure. If you get contacted or you get affected by HIV/AIDS, you end up by death. So all of this, they pass like a shadow. And the last thing a student must know or must do under this question, it is to give the conclusion. Conclusion require a student now to write his or her perception, her stand, and his general overview about the question. Remember, we are talking about the bad trait, which should not be adopted in the society. Now, a student, he or she is required now to give his stand or her perception about it, those bad traits that should now continue happening in the society, or what measures should be now taken so as to stop them, so as people should live in a good manner. So here it is a place, or it is a time now a student give his or her opinion relating what really happened in the novel and what really is now happening in the society. Okay, this is the end of our presentation in novel. You are with me, Mr. Edward Lulengo from Csee Secondary School. Continue watching our ETETA TV. Thank you.